bullish. That we are, ladies and gentlemen. At least I am. I don't care what the price is. I'm always going to be bullish. What's up, guys? It is Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. We're at the Bitcoin block height of 884,381. TikTok, next block. Now, I got to be honest with you guys about something. I'm a little teed off right now. I'm not going to lie. Even though we are just winning on all levels. And forgive the wind, guys. As soon as I get out here to record, it starts getting windy, of course. But again, this is the only time and place I can record right now. And for those of you wondering why I haven't made the amount of videos that I usually make, because I've had a few of you ask me that. It's simple. It's 2025. And I made a promise to you guys in 2024 that I was going to make a video every single day, and I did that, plus some. But now I'm kind of like stepping back and, just taking care of me a little bit. And I'm working a lot. I am. And I'm just a regular guy here, man. I just do DoorDash, and I'm just, a normal person. And anybody can do what I do, turn on a DoorDash and deliver food. And I'm putting a lot of my time and energy, and of course, learning how the world works, but also stacking as many Satoshis as I can. So be patient with me. I'm making videos every couple days, but guarantee you I'll make a Satoshi Saturday every single week. I promise you that. But anyways, it is, speaking of being 2025, it is 2025. And like I said, we've been winning on all levels, man. We won the presidency by a landslide. We won the House. We won the Senate. We got the Supreme Court. We won all freaking 7 swing states. And what do I mean by we? Am I talking about Republicans? From the outside looking in, it does look like it's Republican versus Democrat. And it is to a certain extent. But I've told you guys this for probably 3-4 years now, that don't think about it on a surface level, Republicans versus Democrats. It's establishment versus anti-establishment. Okay? Period. Good versus evil. And right now, unfortunately, the Democrat Party on the federal level has been captured. They just have. And a few Republicans in there too. Mitch the Grinch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Nikki Haley, just to name a few. What's the other one? The daughter who did the January 6th thing. You know who I'm talking about, with the glasses, the blonde hair one. Anyways, so what I want to talk about is the new Psy-Op for the Democrat Party, aka the Democrats, aka the anti-Trump Party, aka the evil side, aka the bureaucratic blob establishment swamp wing of the federal government. And the Democrats are just completely have sold out, man. And it's just a shame. Now, when I'm talking about the Democrat Party, I'm not just talking about the politicians. I'm talking about the mainstream media, the left-wing media. These people are more to blame to me than the politicians, because they have the public's ear more than the politicians do. And these people, I don't know how they sleep at night, man, because these people aren't stupid, right? They're just not. They know what they're doing, and they're getting paid to do it, to deceive the American public. And it just bothers me to my core, man. And I'm going to do everything that I can to not only make sure they get shut down, but also they pay for their crimes, because this is criminal what they're doing. So let's talk about the new Psy-Op, psychological operation. That's what Psy-Op means. It's short for psychological operation, because they're always trying something. And even when stuff is good for the country, because they're anti-American, by the way, the anti-American country or party, even if it's something good for the country, as long as it benefits Trump, they're against it. They would do anything to stop this man. And they're not done yet. So Elon Musk, who is probably public enemy number 1A now, is obviously in charge of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Now, if you haven't checked this out, look at the U.S. debt clock, the live one, and now in the left upper hand corner where you see the federal deficit, the budget, and everything else. What's coming in, 7 trillion. What's going out, 7 trillion. What's coming in, 5 trillion. Look at that little gold thing, and it says DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. And they are completely against that. And why? Why are they against Doge? Well, what I mean by they is the people I just aforementioned. It's simple. Number one, the waste, fraud, and abuse that you've been hearing in the last few weeks is what I've been saying for years. I've been saying these terms, literally, waste, fraud, and abuse since 2021. And I've been talking about this, and now all of a sudden it's being mainstream. It's all on top of a layer of corruption. This blob is corrupt, okay? Period. End of story. And a lot of unelected bureaucrats, which they blame Doge for being unelected, have done a lot of damage to this country. Fiscally, mentally with the Psy-Op, and also physically to a lot of people in this country. And now that Doge is exposing them, they want to stop them because, number one, is their gravy train is stopping. What do I mean by that? Their money's not coming in anymore. They're ciphering money through a lot of different things that I probably can't name on this channel in this video because I'll probably get in trouble about it. But, I mean, a lot of people are talking about it, so I don't know why I shouldn't be able to. But this is why I don't get a lot of views, a lot of subscribers. And speaking of that, if you guys want to help the channel, please share the video. That's the number one thing you can do on the poor man's plan. But if you got a few extra Satoshis or whatever, you can send them to my Strike wallet to help out. I really appreciate that. The more you help, to be honest with you, the more I have time to make these videos. Because if not, then I'll have to get out here and work. And again, if you don't have it, don't worry about it. I just have to get out here and work and then just make the videos when I can. But they want to stop Doge because they don't want the gravy train to stop. I think that's the second reason their money's not going to come in. But number one is they don't want you to see the backlog of corruption. That the waste, fraud, and abuse has been when they pulled back the curtain and saw it. It all comes from those people, man. And again, there's some Republicans over there that does it as well, and that's why they want to stop it. So instead of saying, yeah, you know what, we are at a $2 trillion deficit. Now let me stop right there. Do you guys understand how much $2 trillion is? Do you understand how much $1 trillion is? Do you know how much money that is? Let's talk about it. How much is $1 million? Right? How much is $1 million? $100,000 is a lot of money. You take 10 of those and that's $1 million, right? 7 figures. And $1 million is a lot of cash. You know what I mean? It can't really buy you that much in today's world, like it did back in the 80s and the 90s and stuff. But again, relatively speaking, it's a large amount of cash to normal people. Sorry about the wind. Let me go back this way before it won't be as windy. Well, then you got to look at what $1 billion is. What's the difference between $1 billion and $1 million? It's 999 million. In other words, the difference between $1 billion and $1 million is $1 billion. So 1,000 millions is $1 billion. What's the difference between $1 trillion and $1 billion? 999 billion. In other words, 1,000 billion, 1 trillion. And that's what $1 trillion is. 1,000 billion, which is 1,000 million. So again, we just throw these billion, trillion, $1 million numbers around like it's nothing. $1 trillion is a lot of money. And we're at a deficit of 2 trillion every 12 months in this country. Again, we spend 7 and we make 5. And we can't keep going down this path. We just can't. And Elon knows that. Everybody knows that. But instead of the Democrats talking about it, what do they say? This is their new Psy-Op. The first one is, well, Trump said he was going to stop inflation. He's not doing it right now. Well, let's stop at that one. Well, number one is, where did the inflation come from, Democrats, bureaucrats? Where did it come from? It came from Joe Biden's economy. Bidenomics. Remember that? When you told us that inflation was transitory? I can't even say it without laughing. They told us that. We all knew that. Gold and silver stackers, Bitcoin stackers, we knew it wasn't transitory. We knew that was a effing lie. They told us it was transitory. Because all we got to do is look at the numbers. Because again, we're like kind of like mini economists, us Bitcoiners and gold stackers. But now all of a sudden they're worried about inflation. So again, where'd that come from, Democrats? Because remember, you said there was no inflation. That's number one. But number two is it's going to take a while to stop inflation. This economy that Trump has adopted is one of the worst in history since the 80s. and the Great Depression in the 20s, late 20s, early 30s. And the only way to stop inflation in the core aspect of the dollar fiat Ponzi scheme is simple. You have to cut the spending. In order to cut the spending, you got to get in there and cut it. And stop borrowing and stop printing money. Because the only reason we keep borrowing and printing is because we spend too much, and our debt and the income on that debt, interest on that debt is too high. So we can't afford it. So that's why we print and borrow the rest to make it up that $2 trillion. But see, you can't tell a Democrat that because they don't understand how the economy works. They don't know how real inflation works. So again, he is cutting the inflation by doing exactly what you keep fighting him about, is getting in there and cutting the fat out of the meat. What's the other Psy-Op? Well, the other Psy-Op is, and I mentioned this last week, is that they're saying, well, how do we know what Doge is saying and Elon Musk is saying is true? They don't have any paperwork. That's just a flat out lie. They're saying, oh, well, he's not showing, he's saying the waste, fraud, and abuse, but he's not really showing it. Yes, he is. He's got it on his website, and he's got it on Twitter, on the Doge page. Now, it's not an official document or whatever, but that's the road they're leading down. They're leading down of, well, he's lying road, instead of, oh, let's see what he's doing. And again, I said this once, and I'm gonna say it again. You're mad, Elon Musk. You're mad at Elon Musk, the richest, most influential man in the world, who's not getting paid to do this, who's sleeping on the floor in buildings, allegedly. You're mad at him for finding the waste, fraud, and abuse, and he's not getting paid to do it. But you're not mad at the people that caused the waste, fraud, and abuse that are getting paid to steal your money. Make that make sense to me. It doesn't, right? So the apparatus, the blob, has to protect itself. So they got to spin up these narratives. Again, I thought Trump was going to stop inflation. That's the first one. The second one, he's not really showing it. And the third one now, this is the scare tactics, because again, Trump is Hitler and all this other stuff. They have to scare you, because again, most Democrats are emotional. They don't think logically. Is he's got access to your personal information, and also the one on the side chain of that is, well, he wasn't elected, Elon Musk. Now, how do I know these things? Well, first of all, I watch the mainstream media, and I watch people that break it down, but also I know these people personally. You guys heard it too. So let's break these down. First of all, the elected part. He's not an elected official. Well, the bureaucrats that used to run the people that he's gotten rid of, Elon Musk, that used to run the USAID and parts of the federal government that are bloated, who elected them? Who elected the, what was it, 84,000 IRS agents that they were going to hire? They're going to hire? Who elected them? Who elected the people that are working in the federal government now? These aren't elected officials. So again, it's just a lie. They depend on people being stupid, right? They don't have to be elected. The person that got elected, Donald Trump, hires the people that he wants in the executive branch. He has all the power in the world to do that, right? And let me pause it right there before I get into the taking your personal information thing. I want to talk to you about the federal workers that got fired, that lost their jobs. Now, let me say this real quick. Do I feel sorry for some of them? Yes, I do. Most of them, probably 90% of them, I do feel sorry for. I don't want anybody to lose their job, man. I don't. It's just sad, man. It really is. But most of them, if not all of them, have a severance package all the way up till September. Now, again, most of these people, Elon Musk, he's given an option of, hey, you can come into work, but, if you moved out of state, or if you're just working from home in DC or wherever you're at, you got to come back to the office just like everybody else. And a lot of them chose not to. So I don't feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for the ones that actually worked in the buildings and had a pretty good job, and they were good and they were doing well at their job, and they got fired. I feel bad for them. But and it's not your fault when I'm saying this, federal workers that lost your job. But again, a lot of these jobs that you were getting, and some people have had these jobs 20, 30 years, 10 years, 15 years, weren't supposed to be there anyways. And that's not your fault. I get it. And it's tough, right? It is tough. But take the severance pay, have one day to cry about it and, be sad about it. But if you're a high how can I say this, a high producer or a big producer, and you're very good at your job, then go to the private sector and get a job, and then and collect double pay. Collect that 8 months, 7 months of severance pay, and then go get a job, or take a couple of months off and regroup. And again, this is why I tell people, this is why you have to have savings. You have to have 18 to 24 months of savings, because you never know what's going to happen. And again, I say this with, I feel sorry for them. I really do. But to be out here and be a professional protester and protesting on why you're not going to get your job back, in my opinion, that's just not a good use of energy, because you're not going to get your job back. So what are you doing out there, number one? But number two, nobody feels sorry for you. This is what the people voted for. And again, I do feel sorry for them, though. I do. But you got to pull up your pants and put your big boy pants on and say, okay, well, this is what happened to me. What's the saying? The 90% or 10% of what happens to you in your world, or what happens to you, is only 10%. The other 90% is what you choose to do with it, right? And that's my philosophy. So I just go out there and get a job in the private sector, because a lot of these federal workers, not all of them, but a lot of them, they're very spoiled because they never get an audit, or nobody ever checks on them, just like every other company does in the private sector. And this is the difference between having Elon Musk in there and somebody that's quote unquote elected, which they're not elected, but a federal worker or a bureaucrat. They pay these people no matter if they're in a deficit or not. No business in the world can be at a 2 trillion, or let's just say there's a business out there that makes 500,000 a year, but they spend 700,000. They have to make cuts, right? Because all of us that run businesses or run a regular life, if I made 50,000, I can't spend 70,000. You can't borrow it and keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. And meanwhile, your interest on that debt is more than your security, aka the Pentagon, the military, or the security system you have at your job, right? We can't keep doing that. We shut down. The difference between us and businesses, small businesses, big businesses versus the federal government is simple. They got a money printer. So instead of doing what everybody else does and cutting the fat out of the meat and stuff, they print money and borrow like it's nobody's business, and we can't do that. So Elon's going in there and acting like, hey, you're no better than us, because even Elon Musk, he's the richest man in the world, but he can't run at a deficit. Nobody can run at a deficit. You just can't do it. And that's common sense. So why are they fighting against it? Because of what I said before. And Elon Musk is going there saying, listen, we found this. He's showing all the stuff they're finding, but instead of getting mad about the stuff that they're finding, they're getting mad at the man that found the stuff. So again, you can't run at a deficit. So again, I feel sorry for those people, but you got to put your big boy pants on, and a lot of these jobs you weren't supposed to have in the first place. And it's going to be tough these next 2.5 years, because he has until July 4th, 2026, which is ironic because Trump did that for the 250th anniversary, 250th birthday of America, which would be great. And again, Elon Musk said, he goes, look, we got 450 federal departments, and we've only been around for 248 years, 247, 248 years. We almost have double of the departments in the federal government than we do years of being here. And this is not what the founding fathers wanted, okay? The government is too big, period. And everybody knows it. And we cannot sustain this, right? So you guys, if you're listening to this, if you lost your job as a federal worker, I feel bad for you. But at the end of the day, we couldn't afford you, period. It just is what it is. Doesn't matter how good you were at that specific job or in that department. We can't afford that department anymore. We just can't. And I'm sorry to tell you that. That's life. Because believe me, if I had a job in the private sector and they fired me, or anybody else out there, you know GD well that you wouldn't be getting no 7-8 month severance full pay with no questions asked. Nobody gets that. So I think that's a pretty good deal. But anyways, that's a side note. So back to Elon Musk having quote unquote, he's going to steal your personal information. For those of you that don't know, Elon Musk used to own PayPal, guys. He had everybody's personal information, right? Again, that's for low-level, uninformed people to scare you to say, listen, this guy even though he's doing all these cuts, they don't even talk about the cuts. They don't talk about the waste, fraud, and abuse that they find. I'm talking about CNN and MSDNC, CBS, ABC, nothing but crap, NBC, ABC, and the rest of them, PBS, and the rest of them. They won't even talk about the waste, fraud, and abuse. They said they don't, you know, because again, their narrative and their propaganda is, yeah, you might hear that somewhere else, but in this little echo chamber, in this little bubble that you're in, what you're going to hear is Elon Musk is bad, because we have to paint a narrative that he's a bad guy. Trump is the devil. You got this guy, Big Balls, a young guy, who's terrible. You got another racist kid on the Doge team, and they're going to come in there and steal your personal information. Well, here's my question to you, to those people that's pushing that narrative. How do you expect, number one, how do you expect somebody to do an audit, because he's doing an audit, by the way, a forensic audit of the government, which has never been done. How do you expect someone to do an audit if they don't have the information and can't look at the information? And again, what's the richest man in the world going to do with that information? They're watching this guy like a hawk. So you think somebody in Doge, one of these brilliant young men or women that are in there, are going to steal somebody's personal information? They could, maybe. But that's not why they're saying it, and they know that's not true. They're saying it as a psychological operation to scare you, to make you fight against what Trump is doing, instead of saying, you know what, this is good, let's get rid of some of the bloating. But they can't, because they know the bloating and cutting the fat out is going to mess their gravy train up and also expose them for what they've done in the past. And that's what it is. So they have to fight against it, but it's not working. You got district courts, let me say this again, district courts trying to stop the president of the United States, the person that's in charge of the executive branch, of doing an audit and hiring somebody to do an audit. They actually stopped him for a few days. I think they lifted it now. And it's going to go up to SCOTUS, the Supreme Court Justice, so they can look at it. They don't have, the founding fathers did not do the checks and balances, the three branches of government, the judicial, executive, and the legislative branch, to say, you know what, a small district court down in Massachusetts down there, in that small little district, can control what the executive branch is doing. I don't think so, right? There's a chain of command here. And again, it's an equal branch of government. It's not a king, right? But we hired the president, aka democracy. Remember that, Democrats? Democracy? They don't give a shit about democracy. Again, when you hear Democrats talk about democracy, it's Democrat power and control. Period. These people don't give a shit about democracy. When you got the Supreme Court, you got the legislative branch, which is the House and the Senate, and then you got the presidency, the executive branch, the president, the vice president, and all the workers that he hires there on the same page. What the hell is a district court talking about stopping Elon Musk from doing what the American people mandated and asked the president of the United States to do with Elon Musk? They campaigned on this, guys. Second part of Elon Musk taking your quote-unquote information, stealing your information. How come you weren't worried about the IRS people that took your information, that has access to your information? How come you're not worried about the bureaucrats and everybody else that's in that system before Elon Musk? Because you guys can't name a person, not one person or entity that had access to that. You're just saying that because it's Elon Musk and you don't like him and you don't want him to uncover the truth. That's what it is, period. And also, what proof do you have of that? I ask people this all the time. You're telling me that Elon Musk is lying. Okay, here, I'll show you the proof why he's not. And I'll show you on the Doge website, and I'll show you on Twitter what he's actually did and showed the the waste, fraud, and abuse, the USAID and everything else he's found, and all these other, and by the way, the other, I think it was today or yesterday or Friday, Elon Musk found, not a small sliver of Social Security payments, but he found $71.8 billion of overpayments in Social Security. Again, it's a small sliver, but it's still $72 billion. Let's get rid of that first, okay? Why are you not mad about that? People getting overpayments, people that are 150. I think I saw it was 110 years old to 300 and something years old or something like that. Again, bring those people out, and let's put them in the Guinness Book of World Records. I don't know anybody who's 300. Do you? But you won't hear a peep from these people about that. It's crazy, man. And this is why I'm pissed off. I know we got to go through this. I understand it because, again, the apparatus, the blob, is not going out without a fight. This is why I say all the time, Trump and JD Vance can't be anywhere near each other, number one. And number two, I hate when Trump has to go down those steps on Air Force One. I hate that, man, because he's wide open out there. If you think those first two or even another one that we don't know about are the last, you haven't been paying attention. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, man. And again, even though we're winning some battles, we haven't won the war yet. And what's the war? The war is freedom. We got to get our complete freedom back, and that's the freedom of our mind. It starts there first. And it's a freedom for our money and our liberty and our sovereignty and our pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's why J.D. Vance went overseas and laid into them in Germany about not allowing people to have free speech and arresting people for saying stuff online. We can't have that, man. And I'm glad J.D. Vance did that. And I think that won him the presidency. I do believe that. That's going to be a historic speech that's going to be talked about in 100 years. He may have changed the way they're going to do stuff in the future. Who knows? But as we're winning these small little battles, we still got to win the war. And again, the war is sovereignty and freedom. And we talked about inflation and paying off the debt. And I love what Doge is doing. I really do, on the short-term basis, and also implementing new systems into the old systems that we have, the broken old systems in these computers. Very old computer systems that Elon Musk is not only updating, but exposing. But despite that, hopefully one of these geniuses in there, one of these smartest people in the world on the Doge team, can figure out there's only one way to pay off the debt. And hopefully one of these people are a Bitcoiner. And they say, hey, look, now that we got this stuff out the way, let's really pay off the debt. Let's really stop inflation. And let's start new. With this new money, it's been about 18, 19 years old by then in 2026. And if you haven't been paying attention, I'm pretty sure you guys already know what it is. It's the best way to save. And for me, the only way to save. And that's Bitcoin. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.